Hello, my name is Michael Arden, and I'm the biologist that was hired to conduct the investigation on why so many dead fish are turning up on the beach, and if there's any hazardous chemicals present that might be causing this effect. So, a quick overview: we have the reason for the investigation, the findings, how did it enter the water, the effects on wildlife and people, and a quick conclusion to kind of wrap it all together. So first off, why investigate? Like I said before, there's large amounts of fish turning up dead on the beaches. The beach is a great tourist attraction and revenue for local businesses, and there's concern for health because it's also used as a lot of recreation, like surfing, fishing, swimming, people just hanging out on the beach. Um, so if the people aren't coming to the beach, it's not going to be good for business, and it's also not really good to have a bunch of dead fish laying around either. So after we conducted our investigation, we found that rotenone was found to be present in the water, which is a known fish killer. So what is rotenone? It's an odorless, colorless, toxic crystalline substance that's obtained from the roots of various and related plants. It is widely used as an insecticide, pesticide, or pesticide, but is now being phased out due to the risk of acute inhalation. But that's really only true in insecticides and pesticides. Pesticides is still currently being practiced today by fisheries and government agencies to control fish populations or unwanted fish in those particular areas. So how does it enter the water? So rotenone application is commonly practiced by spraying from helicopters, boats, underwater hoses, and backpacks. That's how they produce this method into the water so that they can control the fish populations as mentioned before. So I believe that the result of overspray or inaccurate spraying by helicopters would lead to the rotenone getting into the beach area. So if it's oversprayed or a lot of aerial sprays, or they're inaccurate and they'll miss their target, and either they don't control the substance in the area they're trying to spray to, it'll leak out through the tributaries and eventually make its way down to the beach if it's at a high enough content. So this is really the main reason I think that it's entered into the beach area is there's some spraying upstream going on and it's now leaked down into the beaches. So what are the main effects on fish? So rotenone is a hydrophobic substance, which means that it's inhaled or absorbed through the skin and can pass directly through the cell membrane without regulation because it's hydrophobic. So once inside the cell, rotenone interrupts cellular respiration by blocking electron transport in the mitochondria and prevents the availability of oxygen. So once it's in the water, it sticks to the gills of the fish, and then once it goes there, it seeps into the cells and basically prevents that oxygen from getting into the tissue, getting into the respiratory tract, and into the mitochondria, and it doesn't allow it to properly produce the energy that it needs to. So overall, you basically have suffocation occurring within the fish and a level of all the way down to the tissue and not just a respiratory tract. So the effects on people. So it's already in the water, so they're not going to be around the spraying. So there's no real concern for respiratory effects. But because it's already in that water, like we said, they're going to come in contact with that substance. So it's going to cause a lot of eye irritation, dermal irritation, which is skin, nausea, and throat irritation. So the people that are actually in the water, the surfers, the swimmers, and other things will have these different substances. And then if enough of it occurs, an acute thing, it could get worse down to nausea, throwing up, vomiting, and other things like that. But I don't think there's really a high concern for those in here because it's already kind of mixing out as it's gotten down to the beaches. So what would be the solution? So the main solution would be to close the beach for 48 hours. Rotenone has an REI of 48 hours, which means it's going to dissipate on its own after that time frame. So the biggest thing would be to close the beach for 48 hours, and in that time you can still clean up the fish that's going on as long as you're wearing proper PPE and you're not getting that on your skin and everything. But if there's a need for a quick fix, we can add potassium permanganate and chlorine, and it'll detoxify the water, and then that way you can go through and clean the waterways up in a more quick manner, but I would recommend that we close the beach for 48 hours. And then our conclusion is, rotenone has entered the waterway. We know that through our investigation. It's highly toxic to fish. It can cause illness in people. And then, we need to come up with a conclusion on how we're going to go forward from here. Are we going to close the beach, or are we going to add the potassium or the chlorine into that? I also created 2 fact sheets. One of them is a deep dive into rotenone and kind of the effects of those and what's going on. And then the other one is on the metabolic process and how this really affects that. And I'll hand those out now. Thank you for letting me, conduct this investigation. Hopefully I found, good reason to go forward with what we need to do. Thank you.